Hello, I'm Peter Mickey, the founder of Performax, a sales performance improvement company. And this set of slides describes very briefly the implementation of a sales process in a $120 million company and a dramatic increase in sales obtained thereby. As you can see from the top, it's actually more than the implementation of a sales process. It was actually implementing a philosophy of management based on you cannot manage results. You can only manage the activities and actions that will yield those results. The scenario was that I was appointed as VP Sales in August of a certain year, that my predecessor had been let go because he'd missed his targets about 3 or 4 months in a row, and his forecasts were wildly optimistic. So at the end of August, I had the opportunity to present my first attempt at a company forecast to the management committee, with a heavy focus on the month of September because obviously things were behind plan from the previous VP. My organization consisted of regional directors, branch managers, and salespeople, as you can see here. So the forecast that I presented focused very heavily on the month of September. All the amounts here are shown in millions of dollars. My plan for the month was 10 million. That was my goal, 120 million for the year. And you can see here the Eastern Regional Director, Central, West submitted their forecast to me from their managers and from their salespeople. And the good news was the total was 17.6 million versus the 10 million of my plan or goal. So I went away on 2 weeks holiday thinking, hey, this is great. As you can probably guess, the actual sold was not quite up to that. By month, but towards the end of the month, I was already realizing I was in trouble, and as you can see in this slide, we actually delivered only 5.7 million. So ask yourself perhaps, what would you do if that happened to you? Well, I called a meeting of the regional directors and read the Riot Act and made a very clear point that I don't need regional directors at a high level of pay to add up numbers that are that far wrong. And one of them even pushed back and said, well, you know, Peter, the last VP was let go because he missed his target 3 months in a row, and also his forecasts were not accurate. So maybe we shouldn't even bother talking to you because you've obviously missed your first forecast. So with that gauntlet on the table, I went back to him and said, you know something, you're right, but just before I go. Anyway, they did ask a very good question. They said, okay, what can we do differently? And here's what we did. The forecasting system that the salespeople used in the company was a very simple one. Every month they would submit a list of their customers and prospects, the products or services they thought they could sell those people, those companies, and then a 30, 60, 90-day outlook, which was done in hundreds of thousands of dollars and percentages. So $100,000, 90% would be ABC's expectation to close as a booking within 30 days. That was the old system. What did we do? We took a look at the selling processes and came up with a very simple 3-step one, W, Q, and P, and we inserted this in the middle of our forecast. So W, for instance, which is top of the funnel, stood for a working prospect or working opportunity. This was defined as somebody who is interested in one of our products or services or more. Q was qualified. They're going to buy something from somebody in a defined time frame, may not be us. And then P, bottom of the funnel, was proposed, which we defined as this customer or prospect has received all the information necessary to make a decision and that they are actively considering that decision. So where you see a Y in any one of these columns, it means that Fred, the salesperson, says, yes, I've done that step. What did this give us? Well, we took all these forecasts from all the salespeople, and then we used them to consolidate into the funnels that you see at the bottom here, which 30, 60, 90, and then working, qualified, and proposed levels, because we could take each salesperson's opportunities, say the ABC one in 30 days was proposed, so it goes into the bottom of the funnel. As you can see in these slides here, all the opportunities from this one salesperson and then all the other salespeople rolled up and consolidated to give me a company level view. So what, you may ask? Well, here's what it did. We actually were implementing this system in the month of August, but unfortunately I didn't have the results in front of me before I went in front of the management committee by the end of August for that forecast for September. But here's what I found when we actually got the first roll-up or consolidation using this system. I found that in fact the sum of the proposed level in the 30-day time frame was only 9.4 million. So my regional managers were predicting or forecasting 17.6 million when we had only 9.4 million that could close in the first place. And as you can see, based on that 9.4 million, we actually closed 5.7, just over 50%, which is not an unreasonable win ratio. So obviously, armed with this new intelligence, we had a much better idea of what we could actually sell. So as we went forward in October, here you see the October outlook. The regional managers were forecasting 22.8 million, but I could see, and they could see, by the way, everybody had access to the same information, that they only have a total of 15.7 million in the proposed level in 30 days, or bottom of the funnel, as I call it. So clearly the 22.8 million was just a dream. And I actually went back to the regional managers and said, you must have gone retail and didn't tell me. But the good news was, I could tell that clearly we were not going to do 22.8 million. Clearly we weren't going to do 15.7 million. So when I went in front of the management committee at the end of September, forecasting for October, I forecast 8 million based on knowing what was in the bottom of the funnel. In fact, we closed 8.8 million. So two things. Number one, we actually increased our sales dramatically. And secondly, my forecast accuracy was obviously a lot better. It came out ahead of what my forecast was. But then the frightening thing was, armed with this new system, I could look ahead to 60 and 90 days, and I could see if I added up all of the opportunities from all salespeople across the country, there was no way we were going to make our 10 million a month. So this caused me to then start a massive lead or opportunity generation program. Every salesperson had to make so many new account or new prospect calls. Every branch had to run a monthly blitz or some kind of lead generation program. The regional managers had to do the same thing. And marketing myself put on 5 roadshows across the country, all with one single objective: to generate more opportunities, more leads. So the point here is that because we knew what was in our funnel, it's like a gas gauge in a car. You can tell what you need to do to fill up your funnel. And we used the funnel to give us the indicators of what activities we needed to focus on. And by doing so, the results were dramatic. As you can see on this slide, by the end of December, we'd actually closed 10.5 million. We'd actually doubled our sales virtually from September, and more importantly, we were ahead of our plan, except anybody who's been in sales for any time will know this is a real case study. Guess what? The company raised my quota to 11 million a month. So just as I thought I was getting there, the company raised the ante on me. But the good news was, obviously, we now had a working machine, and we also had some interesting details that came out of this funnel system every month that helped us plan what to do, the activity mix needed by our salespeople, etc. The other thing was, the observation here, you'll probably see, our close ratio was pretty much 50% between the proposed total every month and the actual sold. So when I had this quota increase to 11 million a month, I knew I had to have 22 million at least in the bottom of the funnel every month to make sure I could do that. So this led us to start a proactive funnel planning exercise as well. Plan the funnel you need. But Eureka, it worked like crazy. So that's the case study, ladies and gentlemen. I think the lessons learned are, first of all, the philosophy of process management works. Had we just focused on results, which is what we see a lot of sales and managers doing, trying to beat results out of their sales team, there was no way we would have made our numbers. Knowing the funnel size and shape is the key to knowing the required mix of sales activities, as you can see here. Another sort of little byproduct that came through to me was, when in doubt, raise the quantity of sales activities required. Then focus on raising their quality or effectiveness. If you've hired good people, even if they don't have all the skills in the world, they'll figure out what to do. And then as for that last slide, you can plan the funnel needed by quarter to make your main goals, especially the top of the funnel. And then once you have that, you can ensure that sales and marketing share that top of the funnel goal in thousands or millions of dollars, and then that everybody in sales and marketing has clear individual funnel goals plus the activity plans to make them. And this is what we've been implementing with all our clients as well since this early days that I implemented this for myself. As you can see, it's a very simple process, and our case study number 2 will describe a more complex sales process, but the principles are still the same. So implementing a sales process is more than just a nice to do. In my mind, it's the key to ensuring scalable sales success. If you have any questions, please email me, or you have my phone number here. Thank you for your time today.